they're here and happy. Councilors, we have a lot of things to cover tonight, so we're going to move promptly forward. You have the minutes of the May 25th meeting in front of you, and do they meet with your approvals?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second by Morton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? There's no opposition. Motion carries. Are there visitor comments to be made out there, Karen? Nope, she says there's no one out there to make a visitor comment. I'm going to go on to reports. Just a few things that I thought you might be interested. As you know, as a past president of the League of Oregon Cities, I continue to sit on that board of directors, and we had our recent board meeting, and I just wanted to call to your attention that the LOC, in conjunction with the National League, have worked really hard, and I think we've seen the proof in the pudding as they helped Congress push through a number of some funding that's going out to cities and states around the United States, and they were helpful in getting rid of some of the normal federal paperwork along the way. That doesn't mean it's all gone, but they've helped people more clearly understand. We also want to draw councilors' attention to the annual LOC conference that takes place. This year it will take place in Bend on October 14, 15, and 16. This is where cities from throughout Oregon gather, councilors, mayors, city managers, and we have conversations and presentations on a host of topics that are relevant to cities, both small cities and large cities. If you'd like to attend, please put this on your calendar. You can work with Karen. The city will cover your costs to attend this the League of Oregon Cities annual conference, and it's in Bend this year, and I don't remember where it is next year. So please put that on your calendar. I attend regularly, and it has been very helpful. As you know, I serve on regional solutions and also the Mid-Valley Economic Recovery team. And we've got an update on the positive efforts going on up in Canyon, and also information about EDA, the Economic Development Administration, through the U.S. Department of Commerce, and the possibilities for funding. So we're looking at all of that. And I just wanted to say I'm excited about something coming up in the future. I just received an invitation to the groundbreaking of the new Elks building that's going to be built. And that'll be on July 24th is the groundbreaking. And so I'm excited for the Elks to be able to get their new building and for that to be moving forward. That's the end of my report. I'm going to continue moving forward and have counselor reports on liaison reports. Counselor Morton, I think you have the library board.
Yes, I have both the library and the museum, and we have had meetings for the library, and Patrick Bodley has been playing small videos for us all about how a board is to be acting. I should say he's been playing it for the board since I'm the liaison there. But the library, as you know, has reopened, and they're very excited about opening up even farther and having more hours at hand. And there was talk of some fundraising activity to come up, and we will be considering that as a board in the months to come. And I have volunteered to help with that. For the museum, of course, all the excitement is about moving into the new site, which is going to occur officially beginning in the month of August. And we're looking at probably having it completely open in September, so it will be ready for the Ghost Walk in October. And I talked to Vicki McCubbin this morning, and she is going to participate in that event and is very excited about it. The building looks beautiful on the inside, and it's going to be so nice to have plenty of room to display many, many more things than were available to be seen in the former building. And again, the Museum Society has requested some funds from the Community Foundation in order to supplement the building account for the city. And there is some discussion about fundraisers there, for which I have also volunteered. That's the end of my report.
Thanks, Councilor Morton. Councilor Roden, I think you have a report on WMPIG. I don't know if they've met, and so I defer to you.
Yeah, we have not met yet, but we did meet. The Traffic Safety Commission did meet this past week, and we hit pretty hard, making sure that we have a safe area for kids to enter and exit the school at IES, and just brainstorming some ideas that we can have to make that a safer place for the kids to be. And Chief Mason wasn't at this meeting, so Fred led it. He did a great job, and we just had a really good discussion on some areas we'd like to tackle and address in the future as we work together as the Traffic Safety Commission.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Moving promptly forward today, I think staff member Gloria Butch has the supplemental budget to present to us. Ms. Butch.
Mayor, do you mind if I do the city manager report?
I'm sorry, I just blew past that. Excuse me. I was just rolling there. Please do the city manager report. I apologize for just my eyes jumped. Please.
No worries.
Thank you.
Before we get started, we're going to be. You won't be able to hear about all the great things happening in Independence that I want to talk about. So. I just did want to start off talking about a bunch of stuff that's been going on from economic development. That's really been picking up. We brought a group, or at least Sean brought a group of Travel Oregon representatives through town promoting the Willamette River Trail. As usual, they saw it and just had a great emotional experience about how that all works. They spent the afternoon checking out the hotel and local businesses. And it's kind of nice to get back to doing some of those tours and having people come in and experience and see what we get to see on a daily basis. So that was a great visit, and Sean just wanted me to pass that on. Wanted to mention that the apartments will be fully occupied by July 1st. So that is just around the corner. And it's great to see them do that and be up and occupied so quickly. If you walked around downtown, you probably see some white sheets of paper in windows with lots of different businesses. By my count, there's at least 5 new businesses that are planning on opening over the next few months. At least 3 of those are restaurants or provide food. So lots of new opportunities. I've heard that on weekends, it's just really hopping downtown. A lot of people around. Part that's the new apartments. Part of it is the hotel being occupied, and part of it is just the Independence is a great place to be on a Saturday or Sunday or any day, and people are just enjoying the weather. So that is been very nice. The summer concert series is getting spun up. There will be promotional material going out probably in the next couple days. The actual event starts July 15th and 16th with the Crudes 2 and the June Bugs. And we're looking at maybe doing a couple of bigger bands later in the summer, seeing how things go. But we're definitely keeping some options open. I think, as you know, we kind of wanted to keep it more local and to kind of give some local bands some opportunities, but also just not to create a big event attraction. So we'll kind of watch how things are going this summer related to COVID and kind of make some decisions there as to whether we want to do a couple larger events later in the summer. A couple of awards came to Independence from the Oregon Economic Development Association. So that's a big deal. The city got an award for the best tax increment financing project, which of course was Indy Landing. That was funded by Urban Renewal, which is tax increment financing, and also a best promotional campaign for our Scratch It campaigns during COVID. I think everybody was familiar with that, but that was a great campaign. And both those projects are going to be highlighted at the OEDA virtual conference tomorrow. So good work there. And thanks to Sean for putting those applications in. And it's nice to get some recognition for all the hard work. The Indy Kitchen had its grand opening on the 12th. It was a good crowd and the response was good. 4 people have already signed up to use the kitchen, and we're hearing that more will be signing up soon. So that was a good event to have in downtown. A couple other things. Bird Scooters has approached Monmouth, and they are going to be providing the electric scooters that you see in a lot of cities that go from place to place. It's my understanding that they'll probably be geofenced, so they can't just go anywhere. They will have areas where they can travel to and not travel to. We have not talked to them. They have not approached the City of Independence, and I think our plan is to see how well it goes for Monmouth. A lot of the reason that they're there is because obviously they have the university, so they have people that are going to be looking to get around. So, my understanding is that probably July or August we'll start seeing some of those scooters, and hopefully all those scooters don't end up here abandoned somewhere. But if they do, we'll obviously work on that and get that figured out. The third and fourth. So as you know, we have a couple of events for the 4th of July. On the 3rd, the event information is well underway. Wristbands are available. If you haven't gotten your wristbands, you probably should go out and do that. You would need a different wristband for the 3rd than you do from the 4th. Yes, that was one for the 3rd, and Councilor Martin Willis was showing us. And but no, it's going really well. As a lot of time and thought and preparation has gone into that. A lot of volunteer hours, including some of you as well, have really spent a great amount of time trying to get this to make it a safe and hopefully successful event. But really looking excited. There will be fireworks both on the 3rd and the 4th. Just excited to have that happen, and appreciate all the effort that has gone into that so far. A lot more to do. If anybody has time and wants to volunteer, whether you're on council, whether you're just listening, definitely more opportunities to volunteer. So, and there's places you can go to get that. I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but the Cities of Independence and Monmouth did approve a parade application for the 4th of July. So the anticipation is there's going to be a parade that pretty much follows the same route at the same time on the 4th of July. So I'll let other people talk about that during their announcements, but wanted to make sure that everybody knows that's happening. I know that there's been a lot of confusion when it was on and off again, but it definitely is on as of this point. Just a couple of other things to talk about. There is some information that I passed on to council regarding chlorine, and hopefully you all got that there's a shortage of chlorine out there right now. But I think that's just kind of a broader conversation about water curtailment. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, because you're going to be hearing about that more and more as the summer goes on. There has been low spring rainfall in a lot of communities, and with the chlorine supply being low as well, I know that there's going to be some cities that are talking about curtailment. At this point in time, we don't really have or anticipate the need to curtail this water this summer. We have a good water supply. We haven't had any issues with it, even when we've had low water levels before. But there's always a possibility if we start drawing down our wells and we have certain issues. But at this point in time, we don't expect any water curtailment because of lack of rainfall or because of the chlorine issue. We have a couple of months worth of chlorine on supply. And just for those who may not know, there was the main provider for the Northwest for chlorine in Washington State had a major power problem with one of their units. And so they've been down, and they expect to be down through the end of this month. And so that has created a situation where water users and users of chlorine for sewage treatment plants have had limited supplies. So the state has been watching this for a while. They've been letting cities know. I just want to let you know that we have our eye on it. At this point in time, we don't see any issues, but we definitely are concerned as we move forward. And so if you have any questions about water curtailment, because I know some cities have been talking about it. I know Dallas has been talking about it already, and they have a different water supply and other things that are driving that. But we'll definitely be keeping our eye on it as a staff level, and let me know if you hear anything or have concerns, because we definitely want to make sure that we give people plenty of advance notice if there is anything that comes up out of that. Just a couple of other things. The emergency declaration that was put in council, we are hoping to remove that in July. So just a heads up, we'll probably see a resolution or just probably a motion from council to actually remove those, depending on what happens at the state level, but certainly probably not a significant reason to have those in place. The July 13th council meeting, we are hoping might actually be in person. So just giving you a heads up that we'll be going back to that if we all can. I'm going to be out of the office the July 5th through the 9th, the OCCMA conference. And then I'm going to be taking a longer break August 3rd through the 16th. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. And then finally, we heard late this afternoon that Polk County has reached the 65% level of vaccinations, and we'll be going to the lower level on the matrix here very soon. So I believe they've already had their plan approved by the state. So I'm not sure when exactly that'll happen, but at least they've met the both requirements now, is my understanding, and they'll be moving down on the matrix. And it's quite possible that the matrix might go away here soon too. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly excited to change levels and be headed in the right direction. So with that, do you have questions for me or staff?
I have a question, please. You mentioned that there are 5 new businesses opening in Independence. I know about the Cowbell Cafe, the Jade Wine something that's opening in the Opera House, Independence Pies, and the Hi-Ho. What's the 5th one?
There's that crystal shop there that's in the W.
Oh, that's right. Heart's Compass.
Yeah.
The Crooked Skillet, which is right next door to the Hi-Ho.
Right. I knew about that one too.
Great.
I think it's so neat that we're getting a Hi-Ho back again.
Well, thank you, Tom, for your report. And again, I apologize for just blasting forward and not recognizing you as I should have earlier on. So apologies extended. So
We all want to get under the budget, don't we?
so with that, Ms. Butch, I think it's to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm really glad that Tom spoke up because I wasn't quite ready. It's like, oh, surprise. So anyway, I am ready now. We're going to start with the supplemental budget, and this is supplemental budget to our current year, 2021, that ends the end of this month. And this is the supplemental budget is necessary to provide for the creation of the new grants fund. That's the primary purpose for the supplemental budget. And then also for the completion of the construction for the museum. And then we needed to create interfund loans for the SDC funds to the Urban Renewal Projects Fund. And this was a requirement. It's a requirement, but for in government accounting standards. And I had a very lengthy discussion about this transaction with our auditors. And so she provided us with some guidance and said, this is really the way you've got to do it. So here it is. The budget amendments. So there's a supplemental budget, which actually adopts new revenues and appropriates the expenditures. The budget amendment portion of these, it's a separate resolution, and the budget amendments move appropriations from one category to another. So it's not new expenditures. The main amendments in the general fund or for the payment of the developer for the old city hall. Remember, we had a bit of discussion about that when we were doing the budget, the proposed budget and the budget committee meetings. And actually a lot of this, transactions that are in these supplemental budget and the amendments are were talked about, at least some, during our budget committee meeting. And they were shown in those schedules that were in the that were used for that proposed budget. So it's really not new information at this point. So I think with that, if you have any questions, I am certainly open to.
So Gloria, would it be fair to say that this is just getting all the things lined up so it makes the auditors happy, putting all the right funds in the right places to reflect where things have gone? And
correct. Most of it is because of all of the grant activity, especially with COVID, and the way the expenditures came through from that. Yes.
additional questions for Gloria at this point?
Do you want these in 4 motions, or could it be one inclusive motion?
It's separate motions are.
Yeah, we need separate motions since they're separate resolutions.
Okay.
Councilor Job, I think I saw your hand.
Oh, I did have a question. On page 15 of the packet, it talks about the resolution, and it says for the additional sum of $3,241,265, but that's not actually additional. That's already something that was in the budget.
That is additional. That's additional money that became available. So we're not actually spending that much more, but we mainly it's to start the new grants fund. And so most of that new money is in grants that we hadn't anticipated when we prepared the budget for this year.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, we have a series.
I'm sorry, I have one question.
Go ahead, Councilor Roden.
If we didn't anticipate this money in the form of grants, how do we as a council decide where this money is going to be spent?
I've provided how those monies, because they're grants, they are restricted to be spent the way the grantors provided for. So we have put those in the new grants fund. We have set those up all in the lines where those will be spent.
And what page is that on? Those lines you're talking about? Is that on page
Sure.
17?
No, I can provide you with that. So it's in those detail pages, and I'll give you the page number in just a moment. So page 52 of your packet is the new grants fund. It's page 52 and 53.
And I'll just jump in here. A lot of those monies were expended, through the CARES Act. So if this grants fund actually has monies mostly coming in from the CARES Act, and then the projections from the American Rescue Plan for this year. So what you're seeing in the supplemental budget was monies that we use for the business development programs and for the other programs that we did during COVID. So the money was being expended by us and then being reimbursed by the state for the programs that we did in order to keep the businesses and other things moving. So what most of the amount that you were seeing in the grants fund for was the supplemental budget. It was from the CARES Act. We just still have some of those monies over, which are programmed in the grants fund for this year, as well as future years. And So I don't want to mix the two, because what you're looking at in the budget also includes the monies that are projected to come in for the American Rescue Plan, which isn't shown here in the supplemental budget because that only covers a fiscal year 2021. So.
Okay. Additional questions? Okay, we do have.
And I get,
Go
I
ahead,
guess I'm
Kathy.
asking for a point of clarification. So if these were essentially unanticipated funds, does that then free up dollars elsewhere? Does that then free up dollars elsewhere, period?
No, not necessarily, because these, we are in the supplemental budget, we are adopting new revenues, which were unanticipated, as
Okay.
well as the expenditure, which was unanticipated. So it's new money. It's not money that we had budgeted before.
It just seems like a lot of the things on this list are things that maybe, you know, I just can't imagine that the CARES Act sent us money for, you know, bike helmets and trolleys and seatbelts grants. It would be nice to be a participant in how these monies are spent to the best that we could do for our community.
These, so bike helmets and seatbelt grant and all of those are separate grants, and those are spent, for instance, the pedestrian grant is provided to our police department, and it pays the police officer to do a set program for pedestrians. So they set up a crosswalk with somebody that's crossing, and so they do that for a couple of hours, and then the grantor, which is usually the state, provides a reimbursement of that officer's time. So what you're seeing on pages 52 and 53 is both the income and the outgo. So you have the seatbelt grant, and you have income, and then you have on the expenditure side, you have the seatbelt grant expenditure.
Would it be fair to say those are donor restricted?
Correct. Absolutely.
Thank you.
But would it be fair to say that those are not part of the 3.2 million that we're describing that in the CARES Act and the unexpected grants that we received during the year? So I'm just trying to find transparency.
Okay, so the bulk and what the city manager was trying to the point he was trying to make is the bulk of what that new money was, that new grant money, came from the CARES Act, but not all of it. There was, for instance, there was the broadband grant, which was $70,000, very specific for a broadband. It was related to COVID and the whole response to COVID. However, it wasn't CARES Act money. So there's a lot of money that wasn't CARES as well.
But this includes money from state and federal levels, both, does it not?
It does.
Yeah, Gloria, and I want to make sure, because people seem to be getting stuck on that $3.2 million number up there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
The grants portion of that was 1.3 million. The building repair replacement reserve capital outlay was $300,000. That was for Old City Hall. And that is a supplemental budget because we had planned on expending that money in fiscal year 2019, 2020, but they didn't get the work done in time. So it ended up happening right between budget years. So you could see, you know, that total number up there of the 2.2 million is made up a lot of things. And then the other items there are simply the accounting practices that Gloria was talking about. So certainly we didn't get that much, you know, we got 1.3 million in grants from CARES and other sources, but not from But that was really the amount of that.
Additional questions? Okay, we need a series of motions here to approve budget amendments, supplemental budget, interfund loans, and establishing the grant fund. And these are simple resolutions. And if someone would like to start us moving through that, this is on page 12.
I would be happy to. I move to approve Resolution 21-1549, which authorizes budget amendments for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Second.
Second, was that Councilor Kaur? Thank you. I have discussion. I hear no discussion. All in favor? Excuse me, did you have discussion, Councilor Roden?
I was just going to say that I'm just not clear that I understand or this is transparent in where the money is going and where it's being spent. But is the council saying that this is just something you guys do every year at the end of our fiscal year budget?
This is something that is often done. This is more than usual, certainly, because of the significant amount of grants that we had over the year. But it is absolutely normal for any governmental entity, city, districts, whatever it is, to have supplemental budgets.
Okay, is there additional discussion? Hearing no additional discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Opposed.
Okay, Councilor Roden votes in opposition. Motion carries. Let's go to resolution, the next one, please.
Okay, if I may, I move to approve resolution number 21-1550, adopting supplemental budget fiscal year 2021.
Second.
And, oh, wait, I see an
sorry.
and. But we're doing these separately, right? Because I'm seeing an and between B and C.
We are doing that separately. I think the and is a Scribner's error. Is that correct, Karen?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that. And
I'll
so-
second that without the Scribner's error.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second from Councilor Takis. Is there further discussion? I hear no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item C.
I move to approve resolution number 21-1551, authorizing interfund loans for fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Motion second by Councilor Kaur. Is there discussion? I hear no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And is there opposition? I hear no opposition. The motion carries. Thank you very much. And the final resolution.
And
Okay.
I would like, go ahead, Kathy.
I move to approve resolution number 21-1552, establishes grant fund.
And I will heartily second that because I think the best problem you can have is too much money.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Morton. Is there further discussion on this matter? I hear no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Opposed.
And Councilor Roden votes no. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving forward, Ms. Butch, we have budget adoption for the 2021-22 budget. Did you want to make a presentation? Then I'll do the hearing for state revenue sharing. Is that the way we should do this?
Yeah, please.
Please go ahead, then.
This is for the 2022 fiscal year budget. This was approved by by vote of the budget committee. There's been the budget committee made no changes to it. So it is as it was approved. So there was no changes from the proposed to the approved. So the next step requires the adoption of the budget by the city council. And all of the publications have been made for notice of hearing. And we'll have a separate meeting for the urban renewal budget. So with that, we should open it up for public hearing.
I now open it up for anybody who would like to make any comment related to the city receiving state revenue sharing. Is there anybody who has any comment about that? I don't see anybody out there. And no information received? Okay. Is there anybody who has a comment to make on the public comment related to the fiscal year budget? Again, Karen doesn't see anybody out there. Okay, without objection, I'm going to close the public hearing related to this. Is there, and we have resolutions to pass. And for those of you who are watching, please know that the budget committee made of city councilors and 7 community people spent considerable time going through the details of the budget and how it was put together, and had meetings on it. And then there was folks who asked questions of staff. So the fact that we're not taking 1,000 hours at this point to go over the budget, please know that there was appropriate time and energy spent reading 208 pages of budget, and yet reading and understanding. So with that as a comment, is there any questions for staff? If not, we need to pass a budget so that we can have operate the city next year. If somebody would like to make motions that are on page 22.
I'll be happy to start. I move to approve resolution number 21-1554, a resolution adopting the City of Independence budget for fiscal year 21-22 in the sum of $33,101,551 to approve appropriations in the amount of $32,402,711 to oppose the ad valorem property taxes for 21-22 at the rate of 4.5897 per thousand of assessed value for the permanent rate, and in the amount of $415,452 for debt service of the general obligation bonds, and to categorize the taxes.
That's a motion. Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
There's a second by Councilor Takis.
Also, congratulations, Councilor Morton, for reading all that.
Thank you. Further discussion on this?
Yeah, I would just like to say that I'm not trying to be difficult, but I am going to vote no on this. Sorry, because I'm
sorry, I couldn't hear you over the baseball game.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I just wanted to say that I am voting no on this, again, because I feel that we have not resolved the issue of the unscheduled debt.
Thank you for your comment. Additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed.
Opposed.
Thank you. Councilor Roden in opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next one, please.
I move to approve resolution number 21-1553, resolution to elect to receive Senate state revenues for fiscal year 2021 to 2022.
That's a motion.
Second.
Second by Councilor Martin Willis. Is there discussion? Love to receive those revenues from someone else. Appreciate that. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed? I hear no opposition. Motion carries. Thank you. So I now have to, we're going to recess the council meeting, and we're going to start the urban renewal agency meeting. So without objection, I'm going to recess the council meeting, and I'm now calling to order the urban renewal Agency, which is on your packet. Let the record show that the council and members of the Urban Renewal Agency are all here. Council members, you have the minutes of the September 8th meeting in front of you, and do they meet with your approval?
I move to approve the minutes as received.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second by Councilor Takis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Here, no opposition. Motion carries. Is there any visitor or public comment related to urban renewal? I have no report to make related to urban renewal. Mr. Pessimir, do you have any report to make related to the urban renewal?
No, I don't, other than to just re-mention what I mentioned at the earlier at the council meeting is the state did, or the city did receive an award for the tax increment financing for the Independence Landing project, which was largely urban renewal. So it was good to get that, and good to see the apartments in the hotel up and running at full capacity.
Great, thank you. Ms. Butch, I think you have the next item, budget adoption for the urban renewal, and then so you'll make a report, and then I'll open the public hearing. Does that sound okay? You're on mute. Go ahead, Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Yes, that sounds good. Okay, so once again, the budget committee met and approved the budget for the urban renewal for 21-22 as proposed. There's no changes made by the budget committee. All of the public notices have been made for hearing, and I would like to note, as I did in the report, was there is no new interfund loans planned for this year, and hopefully at this point the Urban Renewal Projects Fund will begin paying back the general fund for and other funds for their interfund loans. So things are looking really good in the urban renewal at this point.
Again, this was reviewed by the budget committee at some length as part of the total budget package. Are there additional questions? Excuse me. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to make comment related to the urban renewal budget? There's nobody out there that has passed anything to Karen or out there to make any comment. So without objection, I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay. We've all seen these before. I would appreciate a motion to take care of this.
I can give it a try.
Please.
I move to approve resolution number 2021-01, a resolution adopting the Independence Urban Renewal District budget for fiscal year 2022 in the sum of $3,098,399, to approve appropriations in the amount of $3,098,399, and to declare and certify the maximum tax increments that may be raised.
I have
I'll
a
second
motion.
that.
Second by Councilor Martin Willis. Is there discussion? I hear no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? I hear no opposition. The motion carries. Without objection, I'm going to close the urban renewal meeting and go back to the city council. Without objection, the urban renewal meeting is closed. We are now back to the city council meeting. Okay, now we're back to city council. We are now on to, I think is Mr. Irvine going to be making a presentation on the summer series, Mr. Pessimir?
Yes, he will.
Good evening, Mr. Irvine.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight, Council and Mayor. I am really excited to be here tonight because it's been about 2 years since we've had the summer series, and it's really exciting that we're able to kind of bring this back and gear the series back up. We're, as Tom mentioned, we're kind of starting with a more limited series. We've got 6 weeks planned, one band per night, one movie per night on Thursdays and Fridays. The hope is as things continue to loosen, or if they continue to loosen, that we're going to, take a look at booking some bigger bands and really making a bigger deal out of this, on the later portions of this the summer series. But hoping to get the promotional materials out tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then for sure the next day, so we can really kind of get back to having good summers in town like we usually do. So in order to do that, though, we have typically had essentially an all ages beer garden at the concert nights on Friday nights for the River's Edge Summer Series. That is a city park, and alcohol is not typically allowed in a city park, and so we have to come to you every year to request approval for the location of an alcohol concession within the park for these events. The city did put out a request for proposals for an alcohol concession for the summer series for this summer. The West Side Tap House out in West Salem was the awarded respondent. They've got some good experience, prior experience with the Salem River Rock Festival for multiple years. And they just, they've got a good plan. They know what they're doing. Realistically, looking for those of you who have seen this before, it's essentially going to be the same setup as before, where we've got fencing around the bulk of the amphitheater. There's a single tent where they're selling the beer, but you can kind of take it throughout the park because there's alcohol checkers. You have to have a wristband to mark you as over 21. There's alcohol checkers to make sure you don't pass the drink on to somebody who is not. So I think, really, it's like, as I said, we're going to keep things pretty much the way we had them before. Don't mess with it if it isn't broken. The one thing I would note is this application, they had not yet filled in the insurance section because they are still finalizing that. Their initial quotes were extremely high because of COVID, and so they have with the way things are going, they've gotten a new quote. Looking to finalize that tomorrow. But this application, assuming you all approve it, would not be signed and submitted to OLCC until the insurance is in place. So with that, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to highlight for you from my staff report, but I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mr. Irvine, Councilor Kaur.
Sean, who won the award for the concert series? What vendor?
For the kind of the day of operations or the concession?
To actually book the bands. Who won that contract?
So we have been booking the bands ourselves at a staff level for this year.
Councilor Jobe, you had your hand.
Yeah, I was just curious if there were any other applicants to provide alcohol.
There were not. They were the only.
That was the only one. Okay.
Yes.
Additional questions? If not, this is an action item.
I move to allow Westside Tap House to operate a temporary alcohol concessions at the River Edge Summer Series Review Park during the dates requested in the areas designated and per the plan to manage the contain in the OLCC application and upon the receipt of the certificate of liability insurance naming the city as an additional insured.
Second that.
I have a motion, and I'm sorry, was that Councilor Martin Willis? Was you the seconder on that? I'm not sure who it was.
Yes.
Okay. I looked down at the same moment. So I have a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? I hear no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I hear no opposition. The motion carries. Let's move to the Main Street Project Bid Award. Mr. Pessimir, page 99.
Can we do F Street?
I'm going to do F Street first.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I jumped.
There's jumping eyes again.
I've got too many things scribbled on here. Page 93, the F Street Bridge Award. How could I pass the F Street Bridge Award? Please.
Well, I don't know, because this one's really exciting.
This is a big one. Please go ahead.
Yeah, great to get this project done and great to get some really good competitive bids on this project. So really, this will probably be the last action that council will need to take. Obviously, we've gone through the design for this project and put out bids for this project according to ORS 279C, which is the state rules. We also follow our own city contracting rules related to this as well. So this is the S Street Bridge. We've talked about this during the capital improvement plan. It's the bridge over there near Inspiration Garden that is very load limited, and this will replace that bridge and allow for the loads to be what they need to be for trucks and for traffic. Eventually, it'll provide a lot of connectivity out to the west of town. So hopefully we'll alleviate some of the issues on 7th Street, but that'll happen over time. So we put this out for bid and got 5 bids for the project. The apparent low bidder was Bent LLC. They had the lowest bid and they provided all the documents that they needed for their second tier contractors and everything else related to the project. The amount of their bid was 1.329 million roughly. And we're requesting a contingency of 10%, which is 132,902. So the total amount of the project would be 1.461 million, roughly 1.462 million. Just for the funding for this project, just to remind everyone, 90% or 80.79% of the payments will actually come from the state. This is a grant that we applied for back in 2015 and successfully achieved. The remaining monies will be coming from the city's transportation, assisted development charges, water and storm funds. And as we've talked about, this project is in our fiscal year 2022 capital improvement plan. It's also in our fiscal year 2022 budget, which you just approved. And just to note that there is no new debt associated with this project, mostly because the state is paying for most of it. So with that, if you have any questions, there's a couple other documents. The document from the engineer of record for this project recommending the contract award, and also the notice of intent to award, which is a document that we need to send out to make sure that, all the bidders were notified of who the winner of that was. And so unless you have questions, staff is recommending that you execute a contract with your parent low bidder, Bent LLC.
Questions for staff? I have one. When do they anticipate, if we approve it, when we approve this tonight, when do they anticipate construction beginning?
You know, they haven't given us a schedule yet, which one is the first things that we'll ask for. But we'll probably be, given where we're at now, sometime in August.
Okay.
Before they
And this will take approximately 6-8 months, year?
Yeah, that's right. About 8 months is
okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
One thing I didn't mention is the engineer's estimate for this project was 1.65 million. So we're fairly healthily under what the engineers thought this project was going to cost. So definitely good bids for this project.
Great. It's an action item. Would someone care to make a motion on this?
Can we make both these motions at the same time, Mayor, or are these separate motions too?
I think that, Karen, I think we can do both of the motions. Is that correct? The apparent low bid and then the construction contingency, is that okay? Yes? Okay, that's fine. Yes, we can, Councilor Court.
Okay, I move to accept the apparent low bid of $1,329,020.50 from Bent LLC and authorize the city manager to prepare and execute the contract documents and any associated documents for the construction of this project. I move to approve a construction contingency budget of 10% of the bid total, $132,902.85.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second by Councilor Takis. Discussion. I'm thrilled to see this one done. This is one that I know has been worked on by staff and a number of people for a long time. So anyway, there's no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? I hear no opposition. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Now, we can go to the Main Street project. My eyes did not jump that time. And so, Mr. Pessimir, I think now we're at page 99.
I think you're just anxious to get out of here.
No, I was just jumping along. I have scribbles on my sheet.
So this is the similar document to the last one you just approved. The different project, though, this is the Main Street repaving and water system improvements. We talked about this during the capital improvement plan. Essentially, it's from City Hall down to the bridge. They will be repaving that section of road, and there's a lot of water line work that they can do. We tend to do our utilities if we can when we're doing repavement projects, because the last thing we like to do is go back and tear up pavement that we put in. That's a really bad practice. So this project was put out to bid, and we only got one response to this, which is not actually too surprising to us. The paving business is really busy right now. I think the good news is it was 10% under what the engineer's estimate was. So again, even though we only had one bidder, it still was a very competitive bid. They stuck through with it, feeling that they made a good bid and provided all the additional documentation. So with that, I don't really have a whole lot to say other than we're looking forward to getting this project done this summer too. It's long overdue. And the low bidder for this project is Santiam Paving Company. And we're in the amount of $665,998, and we're asking for a 10% contingency as well.
Tom, what do you see as the impacts to residents driving in that area during this process?
Well, certainly when they're paving, there's going to be impacts. It's not a very wide road. So we'll probably end up doing, a half-half type of deal. Typically what happens is once we sign the documents, then we require the contractor to provide us with their paving plan and their traffic control plans, and we approve those. But there aren't really good ways around that, as we all know. So we'll definitely be impacts to traffic. So we'll do our best to make sure there's notification out there, as well as really scrutinize their traffic control plan and make sure that they have good flagging and good things to get people around. But definitely, there isn't, because it goes all the way to the bridge, there isn't a convenient way around. So it'll probably be one-way traffic for at least a few days. So.
And when do you anticipate this project starting?
Probably August again. I think that they'll be anxious to get it out done. The water work will probably come first, and so that will definitely be something we try to get in as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, that'll still be very busy agriculturally. So, yeah.
Additional questions for our staff people? Okay, this is an action item, folks.
If I may, I move to accept the apparent low bid of $665,998 from Santiam Paving Company and authorize the city manager to prepare and execute the contract documents and any associated documents for the construction of the project. And I move to approve a construction contingency budget of 10% of the total bid, $66,599.
And I second that. Well, Shannon, you go ahead and take the second.
That's a motion from Councilor Willis, and I think that was a second by Councilor Kaur. Any further discussion on this? I hear no further discussion. All in favor of this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? I hear no opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. We are now going to go into an executive session, and I have official words I'm supposed to read. The Independent City Council will now meet in executive session for the purpose of conducting negotiations with the city's labor negotiator. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 402D, which allows the council to meet in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions will be made in executive session. This time the council will be together for the executive session, and once the executive session is adjourned, we'll return to an open session, and any decisions from the executive session will be deliberated in open session. So what we're going to do here, for those that are watching, we're going to go into executive session. They'll turn off the feed. We'll have the executive session conversation, and upon conclusion of the executive session conversation, we'll come back for potential action related to the executive session. Sound okay with everybody? Okay, Jason, make it so.